everyone. This is my first video in English. I've made a couple in French already. I will certainly be making more videos in English in the future. So today I wanted to talk about an experience and a realization I had a couple of months ago. I think it was end of January. And before I get really into it, I just wanted to express something that's quite common in the spiritual field. And it's that it's easy for us to conceptualize of what unity is. It's easy for our minds to grasp it in a way. But it's completely different to experience it fully, like feeling it. So it's one thing, and in fact you can only understand it when you feel it with your heart and not try to understand it with your mind. It has nothing to do with the mind. So what's really common in the spiritual field is saying just, okay, we're all love and light, everything is one, we are all one. But the minute we meet someone that doesn't agree with us, the minute we meet someone that insults us or treats us badly, then we fall into the trap of separateness again, and into the illusion of separateness. So for example, it's very easy to take things personally when somebody insults us or treats us badly, and so we will just or lash out at the person or completely shut down and think like, why did this person did this thing to me? Why me and not my neighbor? And etc. etc. Or the other extreme is also falling into victimhood. So thinking thoughts like, okay, if I attracted this, it means I deserve it in a way. I must be a bad person because otherwise I wouldn't attract this. I'm cursed, nothing ever good happens to me anyway, etc. So this is also a trap. So a couple of months ago, I went through my third liver flush using the method of Andreas Moritz. And although the two first times went really smoothly, I didn't have any problem with it, with the whole process. The third time was pretty different, in the sense that I felt quite sick physically. I had nausea, I was really not feeling too good. And I also had a lot of emotions coming up. So for 3 days it was really intense. And I had this nightmare where I was in the hospital and I had just given birth to a baby. And I was in the room and the doctor came in and he was shaking his head like this. So I sensed that something was wrong, something wrong was going on. And he came to me and he just said, your baby is very ill and he's going to die today. So it was a very, very, very painful situation to be in. I started crying. I felt completely powerless to the situation. I was completely desperate. And the only other person that was present with me in the room was my father. But he wasn't even looking at me. He was just looking away. He didn't even consider me. He didn't have anything to do with my feelings, the fact that I was suffering very deeply. And so he went to the doctor and asked for a drug prescription. And so I stood up out of bed. I went to see him and I started shouting and yelling at him and just throwing all my anger towards him, insulting him even. And when I woke up I was crying. And I was still very, very, with these really painful feelings of powerlessness, desperateness. I didn't know what to do because as the day went on, feelings didn't disappear. It got worse and worse, actually. It got to a point I really wanted to die again. And this is sometimes a sign that you are going through some ego death, and because there's literally a part of you that is dying in that moment. And so I felt the need to just go out, and so I went to my car and I drove to a place, a very sacred place near the mountain of Bugarache in the south of France, where there is a very powerful portal there with powerful spirit guardians. So I just sat there on the rock in the cold winter of the month of January, and I prayed. I prayed to the spirits to assist me and help me with this healing, because I was aware that although I was really, hurting and it was really painful, I was aware that something really deep was coming out of me and needed healing. So I sat there and I really felt them around me and bathed into their really warm light for more than an hour, I think. And that day when I went home, I understood that it was over. And so a couple of hours later, I sat down to meditate on my sofa. And suddenly it just came all at once in a flash. Suddenly I saw all the patterns, I understood everything, what my ego had trapped me in. I was living in a sort of prison that I wasn't even really aware of. And that prison was anchored in my childhood, because like most people, I've been through some traumatic experiences on an emotional level in my childhood. And that led me to integrate certain beliefs, and that led also my ego to try to protect me, and so basically my ego built this prison around me. And that prison was based on the fact that the whole world was a menace to me. So it's like the whole world was against me. And that's why I had this, this pretty strong warrior energy for a couple of years, where, it was always like fighting and conflicts and very defensive like the ego can be. But I understood that it was only an illusion, and I had created it for a purpose, because it was a protection from my childhood wounds. But it no longer served me, so I just said okay. And at that moment, I just saw the thing, like a curtain coming down, and it all crumbled. And it was like, like being born again or something, because I felt that my heart at that moment started to open like a sunflower to the sun, and this pure energy, this pure feeling of bliss went through me. And this bliss, and also it was really peaceful, it was powerful, but so peaceful. It was like coming home. I think the feeling of coming home is probably the best to describe it. And then I just saw all the people I've met in my life, like one by one. I saw them all, and I could integrate them completely as myself. I could love them completely as I finally can love myself. And I thank them. I thank them deeply for what they brought to me, even the people who hurt me the most. And that's where I understood that the most important thing to do is really to love these people or these situations, even the worst situations, the harshest people. Just love them and thank them, because they are the ones that are showing you what needs your attention right now inside yourself. Not only attention, but of course healing. And to do that process was really powerful, because I really felt that it was just me. All of these people, all of these things were just me. And it was always easy for me to feel to be one with nature or animals, but it was much harder for me to feel that with other human beings for obvious reasons, I guess. And so it was incredible. It was a real feeling of complete unity with everything that is. And I've experienced some mystical experiences of unity before, but it was more like with the use of psychedelic plants, which are amazing teachers that really show us the way. But the main difference I could feel, like living the experience organically, is that something much deeper has anchored inside my being. And that thing is presence and awareness. Because what happens is, when our consciousness expands, you become more present. That means that when you get triggered by someone, so triggered to feeling a negative emotion or by a situation. Well, the gap between, you know, consciousness and unconsciousness, you know, gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It means that you're practically aware of it instantly. Although before you could, you know, you could spend hours, days, weeks, months just, you know, being really upset about something and not realizing that it's only you, you know. You're only interacting with yourself. So you might as well take a moment to be with yourself and see what's happening inside. What I understood as well is that our reality is pretty self-centered, actually. This doesn't mean it's egocentric. It's not the same thing. But since you're only interacting with yourself, it means that we are all, you know, one consciousness, we are all source consciousness, but we are all experiencing the world through a very unique perspective. That means that we are all in our realities, we are all in different timelines, different parallel universes, you could say. And maybe I'll speak of this another time because it's quite, you know, complicated, but to sum it up, it's that. And so these timelines, these different versions, are just, you know, in accordance with the vibration you hold. So, for example, the version of me you're experiencing is maybe not the same version of me your neighbor is experiencing. And in the same way, your neighbor is not experiencing the same version of you that you are experiencing of them. So it depends on the thoughts you're thinking, the feelings you are feeling, and the vibration you have, which dictates what you are creating in your external reality. So we are all in different timelines, different time frames. And the best way to explain this is a metaphor. So it's like when you incarnate on this earth, it's like if you go into a movie theater that is unique, where there's a film there that is played. And there's the one spectator, a unique spectator, and you are the spectator. So you are the spectator, and at the same time you are the director, the script writer, and obviously the other actors are only yourself, but with different masks. This means that ultimately you have the power to alter the movie as you wish. You have the power to remove the filters in front of the camera that obscure the movie. You have the power to change everything in your life. So, the question I have for you today is, what script do you want to write today? And what part, what character would you like to play in your life? Sat Nam. See you soon.